Hi everybody, my name is Joanne Ferreira and my business is called The Passionate Plan, and I couldn't wait to get on today to talk to you. I was like a kid on Christmas morning waiting to open my presents, and my presents are you. I love talking about purpose. It is part of my purpose. So as I was waiting, like I was waiting for 12:05, I was scrolling through my Facebook and I came across this post, which is Dream Job Alert. Nutella, that hazelnut chocolate spread delicious thing, they're hiring 6-day taste testers in Italy. Now, how do you know if you should apply for that job? How do you know if that's part of your purpose, right? It's ridiculous, but who knows? So I was also remembering, as I was getting ready for this and making a few notes, I was remembering this conversation I had with this person who was wanting to head off to the farthest reaches of India and take psychedelic drugs so that they could find their purpose. Now, don't scoff. Apparently, the research says that can show you or help you find your purpose. So, if India happens not to be in your budget this year, or psychedelics also not in your budget, how else can you figure out what your purpose is? And even what is purpose, right? It's a very often used word these days, and you're thinking, is it used just to sell books? Like, is there any merit to it? And what even the heck does it mean? So for me personally, it means getting out of bed each morning knowing that I have some mission, something that fills my day that's meaningful. I have an overarching thing that I want to accomplish in my life, right? Some people call it mission, some people call it purpose, raison d'etre. So it could be your job, but it's not, it's more than your job. You tend to like live your purpose everywhere and all of the time. Because if you're retired or you're not officially working, do you still have a purpose? Absolutely. Everyone, I think, has a purpose, right? Even if it's just to aggravate other people into their purpose. So it also means not just going through the motions of living, not just putting one foot in front of the other and just following your day without purpose. We know when we don't have purpose because we feel miserable and empty and that just like meh feeling, right? Now here's the other thing about purpose. It always has to do with other people. Punto final. Always, every day, every time. It's larger than yourself. And it's why we're talking about it in this month of August when we're focused on altruism, right? So when you know your purpose and it's focused on other people, you can't help but be altruistic and do good stuff in the world. Now, it doesn't mean you have to find a cure for cancer or be Mother Teresa, because that stuff's already taken, right? It means being truly yourself. Because I believe we innately find our purpose the more we get to know who we are and what makes us feel genuinely good. Hi, Jennifer. So often it's because we have gone through something painful and we've gotten to the other side that influences our purpose. Because then we're called to help other people get through that stuff easier than when we went through it, right? I know, for instance, someone who enrolled in media studies because they thought that was their dream, that was what they were interested in. However, it turns out that later on, as they ended up getting tested for autism, they realized that had such meaning for them that they are now on a path towards psychology and working on testing other people, because that meant so much to them. And their gifts and talents also headed them in that direction, right? So, hold on a second. Let me just see what other notes I have here. Okay, so my purpose, let's look at my purpose as we're talking about still defining what purpose is. I shake up your status quo, right? I help you think, rethink. I help you challenge those beliefs that maybe the culture passed on to you or your family. I help you challenge those things that go through your head, which determine how you feel and how you behave, so that you can be more fully yourself and live a life of meaning and purpose. I want you to be able to do something that matters in the world, no matter how small it is. That's my purpose. So why is it important to live on purpose? Is it just some fancy modern day notion, or is there something behind it? Here's the research, my friend, and this is what I've innately known, because it drives me crazy when I see people who are not living on purpose. When you have purpose, you live up to 7 years longer. You live happier. You have more energy. You are engaged in your life. You are healthier. You're more fully yourself, right? So now, how do we find this flippin' thing called purpose? Is it that some kind of like stone tablet falls out of heaven and hits us on the head and it's etched in the stone and it's like, you are meant to be a diva, which is part of my purpose, or you are meant to be the prime minister or whatever, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't happen like that. I truly wish that it did come as this little tied up scroll when the stork delivers you, right? It was in there, but that's not how it happens. So how does it happen? Some people wonder if we create it. Do we create a purpose, or do we discover our purpose? Do we go off on some mission somewhere to discover our purpose? I think that we uncover our purpose. I think we become detectives in our own lives and get to know ourselves really good, really well, really good. We get to know ourselves and we uncover our purpose. So I like what Richard Leader advises about uncovering your purpose. He advises that you use 3 things. You use your core values, right? What are your core values? Your core values are what you stand for. You make decisions based on your core values. So some examples of core values would be things like family, community, freedom, achievement. Is peace a value that you have? Is beauty one of your core values, or hard work, adventure, or contribution? Is it faith? Is it fairness? Is fun one of your values? I remember starting a business at one point in my life, and amongst all of the paperwork and all of that, I was like looking at my mentor going, is this fun? And she's looking at me like, really? Is that what you care about? It's one of my core values, right? Is creativity one of your values? So values are how we make decisions in our lives. For instance, freedom is one of my values. But if security was one of your values and you said to me, Joanne, I think I want to be an entrepreneur, I'd say it's not a good idea if security is one of your values, right? So get to know your values. Do a Google search. Figure out your top 5 core values. That's step number 1, right? That's kind of like what's important to you, what you stand for. Okay, so you have your values, and the next step is you're going to discover or uncover or become aware of your core strengths. Now, strengths are your talents, the things that are God-given, the things that you didn't ask for, that you naturally have, that you're good at. Plus, you developed them. You develop them into strengths. So you could be naturally good at playing the piano and you never, you learned to play it and you were good and you're like, whatever, you never developed it. But strengths are those things that you develop, you become good at, you're naturally good at, right? And you do them easily and other people think, whoa. So there are things like, what would be strengths? You're a great communicator. You're an amazing organizer. You're funny as hell. You're an awesome teacher. You love teaching. You're good at teaching. Or you're great with numbers. Or people want to follow you naturally. You're a leader. You're good at strategic thinking, right? They're not the kinds of strengths we think about, like singing, dancing. They're like bigger, broader strengths. So what are your strengths? What are you naturally good at? In order to find your purpose, you must be using those gifts and strengths to feel good, to feel like you're on purpose. Now, if you want to find out more about your strengths, there's an awesome website. It's called strengthsfinder.com, right? And so you figure out what your top strengths are. Okay, perfect. So your strengths are going to be in service of your purpose. For instance, I just helped somebody figure out what their purpose was, and she said that her purpose was, she uncovered that her purpose was to help people find their true beauty no matter what age. Her strengths are makeup artistry, and she has honed that skill over the years, right? So she uses her strength as a vehicle through which her purpose is served, right? Hopefully that's making sense. If you have questions, shoot them at me. Okay, good. Somebody's purpose is to eat at Sally's roti shop. So that might be that your purpose is to teach people how to enjoy life, right? And one of those things is to eat roti. That's your vehicle, is your taste buds, right? All right. Okay, what else? So, let's see. Okay, so you have your strengths, you have your values, and then you have your passions. And you add those three together. And so what are your passions? I do something called the passion test, where I help people find their top 5 passions. Again, I'm asking you only to narrow things down, right? So when I'm asking people about their passions, I would say to them, when your life is ideal, what are you doing? Right? When your life is ideal, what are you doing? List, or how are you being? List 10 things, and then we go through a process that forces you to choose your top 5. So you know your passions, you know your strengths, you know your values, and you put those together, and it ends up being one amazing sentence that's your mission, right? So let me know if you have questions about this, if this is of value to you. If you want to get more into this, I'm launching a beta course, which means that it's going to be offered at, seriously, 50% off the regular when I launch it to the public. So I'm launching it in this group. I'm offering it at that price because I want you to help me work out the bugs, and I want to ask you what your biggest obstacle is to happiness. So it's coming soon. Watch out for it, and we are going to do more on purpose. Share if you thought this was useful. Send me questions, and until next time, be passionate.